Hello everybody and welcome back to another video in this Pygame tutorial series. In this video, I want to show you guys how we can create a beautiful looping background for our game. Let me show you what the result of today's tutorial will look like. So this is going to be the result of the tutorial. You can see that there's like this desert landscape, and it will keep on scrolling forever and ever and ever. And that is exactly what we want to achieve today. And it is remarkably easy to accomplish this. So first off, you want to have the image, which in this case is going to be this desert landscape, in the same directory as the main Python file where you were programming your game. Now, the code that is open in the editor right now should be familiar to you if you've been following the series. This is basically a blank canvas. Let me go ahead and show you guys. You'll see that I have a black screen, and it has the dimensions 1000 by 500. So make sure to watch the very first tutorial of this series to see how you can get this result. And if you've been following, then you're ready and set to go with the next steps. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to load in the background image into our Pygame game. So let's start off by loading in the image. We do that by writing background img. I'm going to shorten background to bg, so don't be confused. And I'm going to write pygame.image.load. And then I'm going to write in the name of the image, which in my case is going to be desert underscore bg.png. And then after I've loaded in the image, I need to scale the image to the window. So we do that by using the transform scale function. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to write bg, which is going to be our transformed background, is equal to pygame.transform.scale, and then we are going to take as an argument the background image, which we have just talked about. So that's going to be bg underscore img. And the second argument is, of course, the height and width of the transformed image. So since our window is 1000 by 500, it makes sense to use exactly the same dimensions for the transformed background image. All right, so now we are going to move into our while loop, our main loop. And we can start off by loading in the image of this desert into our window. So we do that by writing win. That is the the surface where we want to project the image. And then we write blit. And the first argument is going to be the background image, which is bg. And subsequently, we need to add the coordinates of where we want to add the image, which in our case is going to be 0, 0. So let me go ahead and run this. And you'll see it has loaded in our image really nicely. And so now that we have our image, let's go ahead to the next step, which is trying to move this image to the side. So the way we do this is by adding an index, which we're going to call I, and I'm gonna declare I equal to 0 by default. And I is going to be decreased after every single iteration of the while loop. So now you'll see that the image which I have created is, hold on, this needs to be 1. The image that I've created is going to move 1 pixel to the left for every while loop iteration. So let me go ahead and run the program again. And you see that the image is nicely moving to the left. However, you'll see that at the very back, we are not redrawing the image anymore. So it stays with the last configuration of the pixels that it has, and this sort of very strange stretched image appears. So in order to remedy that, we are going to write window fill, and we're going to fill the background with the color black. I think this is. Let me go ahead and check for a moment. Yes, you'll see that at the very end we have this black color now. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to sort of add another image to the back of the first image which we've now managed to move. And the way we can do that is by adding a second image with the win-built command. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to write win.blit, and we're going to write bg. And now when it comes down to where we want to add the image, we of course want to add the image to the end of the first image. So we're going to now add this image to the width plus I, and the y coordinate is still going to remain 0. So before I go ahead and run this, let me just briefly show you guys in this presentation that I've made what exactly is going to happen here. So over here in the presentation, you see the axis and you see a red area. The red area is the off-screen area. You don't see that. The only thing you see is this desert image, which you can see clearly. And now when we go ahead and run this, what's going to happen is that both images, which are sort of attached to one another, are both going to move to the left. Yeah, and this is exactly what happens, but you don't exactly see all of that when I go ahead and run this. So let me go and close this presentation, and now let me go ahead and run the code. And you'll see, oh, hold on, I got an error. Oh, width is not defined. Of course, we haven't defined the width yet. And the width of our image is equal to 1000 pixels. All right, so now that should be solved. So let's go ahead and run it. And you'll see that now we have the first image, which is gradually moving off the left-hand side of the screen. And now we don't have this black area appearing at the very end anymore, because now we have a second image, which gradually moves across the screen. But you'll see that at the very end of the second image which appears, we'll have the problem that the black area appears once again. So you'll see in a second it should come back because we only loaded into image. Ah, there we go. At the very end, you see that we have this blackness appearing again. So now what we want to do, let me go back to the presentation real quick. So now what we want to do is we want to add an image, a new image, for every single time the last image is moved off of the screen. So it's a bit hard to describe, but you have these two images which we have now created, which move off the canvas, and then a new image should be created. And we can do that quite simply. Let me go back to the editor. We can do that quite simply by writing an if statement. And we're going to write if I is equal to the negative width, so minus width, we are going to blit in a new image on our screen. So we're going to write win.blit, and then we're going to write the first argument is the background image, so which is BG, and then we want to add it at the exact same point we added the second image. So I can just copy and paste this, and once the image is loaded in, we want to reset the index I to 0. And now you'll see that we have finally accomplished exactly what we want. You have this beautiful scrolling background which will go on for eternity, and this sort of background, looping background, is really nice when you're trying to make your games really come to life and sort of have a running and jumping game. So yeah, if this video helped you out and you learned how to loop nice backgrounds, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you want to stay updated on this series. And on a very final note, if you want to find such images online that loop when you add them back to back, simply go ahead and Google looping background images for 2D games and you'll find plenty of them. Alright, so yeah, see you in the next video. Bye!